High times ahead for the Democrats. That story topping tonight's 2-minute drill. Let's welcome our panel. You've seen them all. Jen Groover, Margaret Hoover, Monica Crowley, and in L.A., Leslie Marshall. And let's fire up the clock. According to our friends at the Wall Street Journal, Democrats looking at a plan to re-energize young voters. Party considering pot legalization as a way of rallying young voters in swing states. Is that a good idea, Margaret?
As somebody who was campaign staff on the 04 campaign,
I thought you were going to say something different.
The last
As somebody who smokes marijuana.
The last campaign that actually employed ballot initiatives, and when you look at the analysis and the data, it's very unclear that you can directly correlate these ballot initiatives to Bush's win in Ohio in 04. And Bush was campaigning on the issue. President Obama's not going to be able to go out and campaign for pot legalization. No Democrat could, so it's not going to work.
I think something like job creation, technology, investments, I think things like that would actually get their attention way more.
Even for young voters.
It is pretty lame that this is what the Democrats are left with. They can't run on the record because the economy is in a shambles, so they're stuck with this. And we'll recall that there is a federal law on the books that says, marijuana is illegal. So when states try to go and legalize it, if you smoke dope in those states, you're still committing a federal crime.
Arnie Schwarzenegger, Republican, is pushing this thing in California, right, Leslie?
Well, we're a bunch of pot smokers here in our blue liberal democratic state. That and tree hugging, But when I'm not doing that and munching on Doritos after my high, I honestly, I do feel that the Democrats can vote on what they've done and what they promised and that they don't need to do this. But there are a core of people, especially in this state of California, that have been pushing Democrats for legalization of marijuana on a national level.
All right. It's a risky venture, but we'll leave it up to them. When it comes to the true unemployment rate, polling firm Gallup telling a different story than the government. Gallup says unemployment increased to 10.1% in September. So is the job situation even worse than we thought, Jen?
Well, with those numbers, it definitely is worse than we thought. And unfortunately, we're not seeing anything innovative that's coming out saying these are how we're creating jobs and we can do it quickly. And that's leaving people in a very desperate state. And I think right now, the biggest thing people can do for themselves is create little at-home businesses where they can actually make a little extra income if they're trying to get the next job.
But my feeling, Monica, is that folks are very suspicious of numbers right now. They've seen every side play around with numbers, and they don't buy this. They just, they're affected by the economy in their neighborhood.
Exactly, and the American people are living this grim economy on the ground every single day. Remember, when the Democrats did the stimulus plan, February of 09, they said that unemployment, it would be kept to 8% or lower. It sailed over 10%. We could probably tick up again tomorrow with September's unemployment numbers. And the fact is that we just got a Labor Department report that said the 09 jobless figures are a lot worse.
I understand that, but Leslie, the point here is I'm just wondering if the numbers tomorrow are going to affect people's decision in the election at all, one way or the other. What do you think?
Well, I think there's two things. One, I think people are somewhat influenced by the polls, but there's so many polls right now, and they change not only daily but hourly. Two, it comes down to what people are feeling, regardless of facts. If people feel fearful that they're going to lose the job that they have, or if people have been unemployed for a long time and fear that they won't be employed soon.
I agree. I think
that's what it comes down to.
I agree with Leslie. I think it's the gut impression people have, and right now the gut impression is pretty bad.
And the gut impression is bad, and frankly, I think you're right. 9.6, 9.8, 10.1, it's all bad. It's millions of Americans without jobs.
And getting worse, not better.
Yet another report of questionable stimulus spending. A government review now finding that $162 million worth of stimulus is missing. Where it went, nobody knows. They can't trace it. So how can Democrats ask for more stimulus when they can't keep track of the last batch, Monica?
They can't. And by the way, wasn't Vice President Joe Biden the guy who was supposed to be the watchdog on all the stimulus funds? Where is he? Oh, that's right. He's out there campaigning for fellow Democrats. By the way, David, we're talking almost $1 trillion. I'm surprised this $162 million is as small as it is. Something tells me we're going to hear more and more reporting about undisclosed funds.
Well, that's because, Leslie, that's because that most of the money, or at least the biggest chunk of it, was direct payments to states that can't keep up with Medicare and other things, right?
Transfer payments.
Well, certainly money to the states, David, no argument. But come on, guys, you got to play fair. $89 billion missing by the Pentagon that went to Iraq. Where is that? Let's pay fair across the board.
Nobody's arguing that. Yeah, every branch of government wastes money, right? That's the point. That's why we shouldn't hope that the federal government's going to bail us out.
Right. But which is also why we need to elect people who are going to focus on eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse as well. And I mean, we're not in favor of any of this. Expanding the federal government is the worst way to keep track of more money the feds are going to get.
I want an entrepreneur like Jen Groover in charge of all this.
I would like to be in charge of it. Absolutely. Well, it needed to be invested differently from the get-go. I think that we shouldn't have taken that much money and tried to disperse it amongst all these different agencies that can't keep track of it, and we could have done tax abatements to all small business owners, which would have been the investment would be we'd be able to see it.
It cost $1 trillion to give everybody a 1-year forgiveness and paying any income tax. Wouldn't that have done more to boost the economy than this?
So much more, and it instantly would have created jobs. Go figure.
Coming up on deck, who doesn't like comfort food?